a red Dodge pickup truck that has like 1,600 foot-pounds of torque. It is spooky, like, I mean, it just gives it a hell, like a little lift on the tires, like front tires.
Oh, yeah.
Like easy.
Okay. Hey, so we're going to start off this week with a little problem that Tim Chester provided, and so I'm going to write out the stats. So what we're looking at is 2013 U.S. oil production. P, so I'll put that as production, was, okay, we're looking at 2,720,782,000 barrels of crude oil. 2013 imported, so I'll just change that production to an import. Everything else is the same, and the import was 3,598,454,000 barrels crude oil imported. Same year, 2013 U.S. Gasoline consumption was, so the top two are in barrels, so pay attention to this. The B means barrel, the B means barrel, the G means gasoline, and C means consumption, and again, I means imported, and P means produced. So obviously, we were a net importer of crude oil. The next number, 2013 gasoline consumption, was 134,506,764,000 gallons of gasoline. Okay, so those are the big numbers on production, import, and consumption. Now, we got a nice little table over here for units conversion. So 1 barrel, I'll just write that as BL for now, equals 42 gallons, US gallons. 1 barrel of crude, and so this is an estimate. We talked a little bit last week about the refining process, and the refiner has at his discretion what's going to come out depending on the temperatures, pressures, times, and how long that thing's cooking. But if 1 barrel of crude ends up producing 12 gallons of diesel, 20 gallons of gasoline, and 10 gallons, so nicely you can double check all those numbers, 12 plus 20 plus 10 does equal 42 of heavy crude, and what do you have there, and light what?
And the white rinse.
Sorry, and light what, Tim?
Light ends.
Oh, light end, okay. So still longer chain than octane, but shorter than heavy crude. So the questions are, and there are 4. The first question is, how much of the U.S. gasoline was from imported crude oil? Okay, so number 1, how much U.S. gasoline from imported crude? Imported crude. Okay, so someone want to kind of tell me what to do here? It's a pretty good little problem. Yeah.
Barrels of first one was,
So first of all,
Can I throw one out there
Yeah.
as a suggestion?
yeah,
You're working with multiple units here,
yeah,
and you should probably get them all in the same. So I, personally, the first thing I did was say, okay, my domestic and my imported oil are all in barrels, but my gasoline is in gallons.
mm-hmm,
Why don't we convert gallons to barrels, so we're dealing with light numbers all the way across the board?
mm-hmm,
Then as I go to the question and I need an answer in gallons, I can convert it back to gallons very easily. But all my major math that I'm doing, I try to keep it in the same.
same units, yeah, yeah. Here's a question, for you. Of that 2013 oil production, was that all consumed domestically, or did we actually export some of it? Because what I'm not seeing there is any export number.
Right, and they don't really give, they didn't give those numbers.
So I think, are we gonna have to assume then that we didn't because almost certainly some of it was exported for reasons we just mentioned. We were talking about high sulfur, low sulfur, there's gonna be different demands for sulfur content. So we're gonna have to make some little assumption here, and then, we can either say that some fraction of that produced oil was exported. Almost certainly some of it was.
And that's why
Almost.
question number 4 will come up. You're gonna see some discrepancies at the end,
Mhm.
because not all the numbers add up. But I went on the assumption, just for the simplicity of the problem, everything that we produced here, we used.
Okay,
And everything that we imported here, we refined
yeah.
and used.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily true, but
You know what, I'm tempted right now to just dive into Microsoft Excel and show two different ways to do it, or we could also run with pencil and paper. What do you guys prefer? I mean, I could keep going with pencil and paper, but I could also show you kind of the power of Excel, where we can actually solve both problems in parallel at the same time, and I could actually show a high and a low limit. You guys want to just give that a shot? Let's just do it. I think we do it. We're getting ready for summary 3. A lot of times people struggle with Microsoft Excel and all that, so
good practice.
it also helps you not suffer through my handwriting so much. So, let me show you how to dissect this a little bit. So I'll dip into Excel. Make this a little bit bigger. And I think what I'll do is,
I don't think I've touched Excel since like 8th grade.
You're gonna want to start.
I'd start firing it up.
like computer class.
Yeah,
It's amazing when you do work with it a lot and get comfortable with it. Until then, it's a nightmare. So I'll just start now, because you're gonna have to.
yeah. Okay, so what we're looking at is 2013 oil production, and we're going to put this in barrels. Always a fantastic idea to let yourself know what units you're working in. So I'm going to go ahead and type that out. 272078200. Now, since we are humans, and it's a little easier to, thanks, little easier to read, we put the commas in. We don't need the decimal points. There go the commas. Now we can verify, okay, that actually is the 2 billion size number. Nice thing to do sometimes in Excel is just drag that thing down if you don't feel like typing again. It got a little too smart on me and changed the 13 to a 14. This is going to be oil import. Same thing, we're going to type this out in barrels, so 359845400. I could have done myself a favor and maybe save the formatting, but I'll review it here again. 0 decimals, put in the commas. There we go on that. And then 2013, I'll drag it down one more time, see what happens. 2013 gasoline consumption. And this is in gallons. So again, keep your units straight, put them in parens to avoid your confusion. Okay. Now, let's do this. Just kind of off in the corner over here, I'll make myself a little conversion. So I'll put gallons here. I'll put barrels here. Type it out, gallons, barrels. Yep. And I'll do the same thing here, gallons, barrels. Now, if I type in a, I'll just put a 1 here, put a 1 here. Sneak one more deal in. This is the, I'll put a 1 in here as well. So the number of barrels equals 1/42 of a gallon. So it equals that number divided by 42. If I've got 1 barrel, the number of gallons equals that number times 42. Okay, so now if I know I've got 10 gallons instead, it'll update my barrels. If I've got 50 barrels, it'll update my gallons. So I've made my own little conversion table.
And that's where your color coding, so you know which input is, what boxes are inputs and which ones are calculations.
Yeah, and let's review that color coding. That's important. And we were using yellow for input. And we're using gray?
I like using green for my calculations.
Green for calculations?
That's personal,
Yeah, okay.
tells me whether there's a formula.
There you go. Okay. And then we can color these guys yellow for inputs. Perfect. Okay.
And one more number that might be useful to you is a percentage or a ratio of, for every 42 gallons, how many gallons of gasoline is it?
There we go.
A decimal number that you can use for your calculations.
So it's just, we'll put in the barrels, we'll put in the diesel, D-I-E-S-E-L, we'll put in the gasoline, and we'll put in the heavy crude and light ends. Okay, so if we've got, again, this is going to be in gallons. Make sure we get that on each one of these guys. Gasoline, gallons, gallons. Okay, so for one, there's probably a couple different ways to do this, but I'm just going to put this in as a fraction. This is going to equal that number times 12 divided by 42. No, let's see, I want to do, no, let's do it this way. Here's a better way to do it. So I'll just repeat this formula. Equals that number times 42. Now if I take what I just did and drag that down, there we go. Okay, let me show you what I just did here. I know from my little handwriting that in 1 barrel, which contains 42 gallons, I'm going to get 12 gallons. That's basically 12 40-seconds. In the terms of gasoline, it's 20 40-seconds. In the case of the heavy crude, it's 10 40-seconds. So if we go back and see what I just did in Excel, Again, my little conversion table is going to work for me, and I know all these guys are going to be green. So this equation shows that I'm multiplying whatever is in F9 by 12, then divided by 42nd. That's my fraction. Now, what I've not done, what I'm going to do right now, though, is pin the 9. I put a dollar sign in front of the 9. Now I can take that same formula, I can drag it down into the other boxes, and obviously it's the same exact formula. If I hadn't put that dollar sign in front of it, it's going to get messy because it's always just going to use the box right above it. But by putting a dollar sign, it pins it on F9. Now all I have to do, go back, is to my table and say for gasoline, that was 20. For heavy and light crude, that was 10. And now my numbers work out. Okay, so question number 1. How much U.S. gasoline from imported crude? I'm going to take this guy here, do a control 1 on it, just so this doesn't get too spread out. I'm going to hit alignment. I'm going to wrap the text. And now I've kind of got that in its own little box there. So 1A wants to know gallons. And 1B wants to know the percentage. And here's what I want to do. I want to show you two different ways to do this based on the assumptions as to whether U.S. gasoline only came from imports or if it was the sum total. So you can get a range. And in fact, you'll do this all the time, writing a proposal where somebody's going to want to know, how much product are you going to deliver to me? Well, you don't always know exactly. And in fact, in Tuesday's lecture, that figure, that box, the proven reserves, expected reserves, et cetera, there's always some uncertainty. So this is, this sort of gives you your confidence interval, if you will. So we'll make, let's just do this as a 100% usage. We'll do this as import only. We'll just make some assumption for the import only that all of our production was so great that we sold it all. That'll be our assumption. Okay, so let's do this. Gallons. Well, somebody tell me what to type while I'm sitting here thinking. Where do we want to start? Todd, I'll let you kick it off if you want to.
I'll show you a trick that's kind of a shortcut to this question.
Yeah.
Is question number 2 wants to know what came from domestic, and if I know the total gallons that were used that year, if I figure out either one of them, I can figure out the other, right? With a simple subtraction rather than trying to do a calculation. So really, I only need one calculation here to get both answers.
Okay, let's try that then. So question 2, how many gallons of gasoline came from U.S. Crude? Oh, there we go, yeah. Question mark, take that, control 1, wrap text.
How do you wrap text?
I do a control 1, and then you go to alignment. Control 1 gets you to formatting.
Right-click on the box and do format cell.
Yeah, a right click will also do a format. The Macintosh doesn't have a right button.
It doesn't. All right.
It's like a control.
I guess I'm
No, it
just
does.
waiting for the box.
Oh, does it on the pad now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So guys, tell me what I'm typing here. How do I figure that out? And what, I think there might be something too embedded, might be something embedded in that, initial information.
Barrels, crude to,
What I did on mine, Brad, the table, the second table that you made that shows the 12 gallons, 20 gallons,
Yeah.
10 gallons, I had another column there that I expressed that as a decimal percentage.
Okay,
So it's actually, for gasoline, it's 47.6% of a barrel is gasoline.
okay, so that basically equals 12 divided by 42?
Yep.
Okay,
And then I can use that as a multiplier in my
nice.
formulas.
Oh, perfect. I like that. Okay, 28%, 47, nice. All right, so keep going, let me know. How many gallons, so what we're looking for is gallons.
taking the number of crude.
So you're gonna wanna take your 2 million, or 2,720,000,000, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever your US oil production was, or your import, whichever one you're gonna work first.
Yeah,
If you multiply that, that's in barrels. If I
Yeah.
multiply that times my .476, which is the amount of gasoline that's in that, it'll give me the barrels of gasoline that came from US production. Then all I have to do is convert it over to gallons.
okay, so let's calculate it in barrels first. So what cells am I going for?
B4, is that one there, because that's already imported, that's what the question's asking for.
Yep,
Now, if I multiply that times my number over there in the table, how many gallons of gasoline are there per barrel?
0.47.
Yeah, I can just multiply it times that box, which is G11,
mm-hmm,
and that's gonna give me,
It works.
that's barrels,
six
okay?
barrels.
I'll put that in number format, number, ding, ding, ding.
Now,
Okay,
if I multiply that number times 42
Mhm.
per barrel,
mm-hmm,
it'll give me the number of barrels.
number of gallons,
Or, yeah.
Yeah. okay. And let's just review that. Okay, so if we imported 3.5 billion barrels, and we know that from 1 barrel, we're going to get 20 gallons. That 20 gallons is almost half of the barrels used. So we multiplied that almost half by the 3.5, and yeah, that sounds about right. So 1.7 billion barrels of imported crude were turned into gasoline. How many gallons is that? Multiply it by 42 gallons per barrel, and we've got 72 million gallons. I want to do a quick, well, no, I'll do it when we're done. So is that clear? Everyone's good on that? What's a good number, what's a good color for that, for your answer? Didn't we have 3 colors going last time?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I did, blue.
I kind of like the blue.
Ooh, it's dark.
Let's go with light blue.
And then your B5 cell, Brad,
Mm-hmm.
you got it copied for some reason from B4.
Oh, thanks. Didn't fill it in yet. There we go. 134, 506, 764. With 3 more zeros after it.
I know the same exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Looks we did that in U.S. crude production, not foreign.
And then how about, now what do we do for number 1?
Can be as simple as taking your total number minus the number from imported. Which actually, I think we got question 1 and 2 flip-flopped there. I think we did the imported numbers in question 2.
Oh, from US, oh gosh. You want to just, okay, so we can just take that and go here?
That one's gonna go here.
But how many gallons came from US? I mean, number 2 is written correctly, so if I just slide that up there,
Instead, yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
So that way, I could very quickly correct my mistake. The powers of Excel. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, this is just under half of the US. Maybe I'll write that US produced 2013 oil.
What did you just do?
You just changed which multiplier it was.
Yeah, question 2 asks how many gallons came from US crude production,
Yeah.
and that figure is in B3. I mistakenly took it from B4.
So then that one, you do the next one.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. It changes the model.
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it's amazing. When you
Yeah,
really use it, it's
yeah.
cool.
It's pretty good. Wow. Okay. Let's just use the same format here. Insert cells, and I'll be able to take. I'm just going to take this whole thing right here, copy it, head up here and paste it. The references screwed up because they weren't relative, but now I should be able to come in here and now if we're looking at US gasoline, it should just be this number. And then it didn't even know what to do with that because it went off the screen. And if we're talking imported, now I can click that guy. Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah.
So now I didn't have to mess around, calculating, penciling, et cetera, Excel just bam. I mean, yeah. And then how about the percentage? What are we looking for in this percentage here? Is this the percentage of the total?
Percentage of total gasoline.
Okay, so for this, I'm just going to, that equals this number divided by itself plus that number. Tell me if I'm wrong. Is that what you were intending there, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's percentage. Okay.
Why did you add it to itself?
Okay, so what we're looking for is a percentage. So how much gasoline from imported crude, and we see there in B9, we've got 71 billion gallons from imported crude. The total amount of gallons produced were from domestic and from imported. So we have to add 71 billion plus 45 billion, that's the total, so we divide, there we go.
See, because you can't really use that 134 million, because when we do our math, it turns out that that's only 127.5 million, or billion, gallons. It only accounts for 127.5 billion gallons of gasoline, not the full 134 billion gallons of gasoline. So we're actually short about 7 billion gallons, and that's where question number 4 comes from, and why is that?
It's a good problem, Tim, thanks for putting it out there. How many barrels were required for gasoline consumption? What's the easiest way to get at that?
If we know our total consumption was 134 billion gallons,
Yeah,
all we need to do is convert that to barrels, correct?
I think so.
And
Yeah.
what we can do, we can use that ratio over there for gasoline of 0.47619.
Righto. Okay, so there's our total, total consumption, so equals, so we know that if this goes up, if the gasoline consumption goes up, the barrels required is gonna go up. And, yeah, so is it that guy?
You don't even need the ratio, you just need the number. So you divide that by 20 gallon, you know there's 20 gallons of gasoline in each barrel, so
Mhm.
divide it by 20, and that'll tell you the number of barrels that's required to give you that.
There we go. Perfect, too easy.
So that gives us our 6.7 billion barrels. But now for question number 4, add those up. How much did we produce? How much did we import? That's only 6.2 million. That's weird. We're missing our billion. We're missing 500 million barrels of oil or gasoline.
That's a lot of leakage.
Yeah.
So what we're okay, so I'm gonna make sure I understand what you're saying. So we're gonna take this number and subtract the sum of these two guys, right?
Yep. And then this is not really, I mean, that's our numerical answer on what is the difference.
Mhm.
But then the question would be, you know, more of an essay type of why are those discrepancies? You know, and Brad covered that a little bit at the beginning of the problem of, you know, do we convert 100% of it for our own use, or do we sell some of it overseas? Of the stuff that came in, did we refine every single barrel of that, or did we just convert some of it as heavy crude, or use it as is without moving anything? And then this doesn't take into account, do we ever import just a pure product? Do we import pure diesel, pure gasoline, pure avgas? You know, we get tankers of that stuff all the time. They're all fractions of that barrel, but we also import pure products. So these numbers don't take into account, because we're only talking about crude oil, and we're only talking about gasoline. And only in these big numbers. So it doesn't really take into account all those other factors that fall into it.
It's a good problem. Okay, well, we got a little, you know, we could sort of see the power of numbers here, I think, and also a little bit of practice with Excel, so. Got about a half hour left. I'm gonna try to get through the rest of the chapter. I think I can in about a half hour. We got a little over halfway last time. And then, well, either I could do that, or I could introduce these guys to summary 3. You could finish chapter 7 next week, Tim. Is that maybe?
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah, let's do that, because I do want to get you.
We're already in Excel.
Yeah, we're in Excel, so, yeah, okay. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll get into summary 3.
You want to leave this up for 102?
I think so. Yeah. That's a good problem.